friends, I'm Kanchan from Akulmach Technologies, and today we will be discussing about one of the topic which is very much in discussion nowadays, and that is water conservation. Now, we had been living in most of us live in cities, enjoy carefree lifestyle with 24-hour running of water in taps, swimming pools, jacuzzi, decorative fountain. And sheltered by this layer of comfort, we remain unaware about the water intensity activities on our environment. To discuss more about this, we have Sitesh Srivastav, who has a deep interest in corporate training. He is closely associated with radio broadcasting. So welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you today?
Thank you, Kanchan, for this wonderful conversation. And just before this conversation, I had one full glass of water, and I just rejoiced and enjoyed, and just closed my eyes and just thought about it. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, and I doing good. Everything is okay. And since we are discussing about water conservation, so I think that's quite a hot subject, and we should be taking care about these critical aspect of environment because rapid urbanization and water pollution has widened the supply and demand gap, putting enormous pressure on the quality of surface and groundwater bodies, especially in India. So, what are your thoughts?
So, Kanchan, I would start with saying about one statement of one Mr. H. Auden, who said, "Thousands have lived without love and not one without water." So I grew up thinking that water is abundant, water is available everywhere except for the desert areas or the arid areas of this planet. But I have come up to a situation where in my city, which is Bangalore, the water has become as scarce as it could be in a desert. We depend on a lot of tankers, and I must tell you, my housing society of 200 odd houses spend almost 5,000 to $6,000 in dollar terms, 1.5 lakhs of rupees for a water for every month. And therefore, water conservation is something which is not a small activity. It's not a small agenda. But unfortunately, for not only India, but for most of other governments, this is not on the top of agenda. When I lived in Africa, and I have seen water crisis from a first-hand perspective. And I can tell you, another 25 to 50 years before petrol or the petroleum runs out of this planet, we will have a water revolution. What do you say?
I think water scarcity is quite a critical thing, and we need to really think about it and take action. Because what I feel is not the conservation of water. I mean, is not a responsibility of government only, but I think general public need to be more concerned about this. Because I also have this feeling that general public is not educated about the significance of storing, recycling, reusing of water. And in a country, we live in India with the rainfall patterns changing every year. And clean water is destined to become one of the rarest commodities soon. And we have to take this as kind of crucial moment to look towards water conservation.
Correct, Kanchan, and I would point out two things here. There are every housing society, I believe in India, has been educating about the water conservation, especially in the summer season. We get a lot of instructions from the housing societies. But you know what? It is a coordinated approach guided by the government, supported by the people groups, supported by the villages, supported by the communities, because it seems that water was a staple thing about a farmer, but that is not the case anymore. Not only for the drinking perspective, we also need water for the industrial perspective. And therefore, the conservation of water is something that needs to be taken care as we take the conservation of climate for one. So water efficient steps are definitely known and being positioned. We teach this to our children. We talk about this with putting messages in the schools, in the colleges. Don't waste water, each drop, and so many places. But what I'm two examples that comes to my mind. One, there was a time in India when we used to drink from the water taps. I don't remember when last this happened, Kanchan, because we drink from the RO or any of those water cleaners, water purifiers, and the big celebrity advertisements that are running across. The another thing is that is still in South Africa, the water can be taken from a water tap in the house and people can drink it. And the third example is, while once in a hotel in a UK, I saw Kanchan, it was written in the toilet, please consider giving the towels for washing after several use, respect our rivers. These are small things, but it shows the national character. It shows the national thinking, because we don't want to depend on the Gulf nations on for something that we depend for the petroleum. We don't want to depend on some country for the water. We don't want to depend or make Antarctica a water supplier of the world one fine century, Kanchan. And therefore, it is the effort has been also raised in the program Man Ki Baat by Mr. Modi. You might have heard about it. And in the Rig Veda, it says that like a mother takes care of a child, the water on this planet also takes care for each one of us, but there is a limit, isn't it, Kanchan?
Yes, definitely. And I feel it's so ironical that a country like India, we have to teach our children about the water conservation, because if you see in our ancient times, the technology, the know-how, and the concern regarding water conservation was there. Like in 5th century, there are texts which are written about statecraft, especially in the times of Ashoka, that depicts, and it is written there that you have to conserve the water, and cutting of trees were not allowed because that was prohibited and punishable. And so I think in India, water conservation and caring the environment is not a new concept. But if you see ancient India architectural temples and monuments, you will find water conservation spaces with use of innovative technologies and technique. For example, sandboards, bamboo irrigation, bavris. So these were always there, but somehow in between we lost this, or I think we became careless, because we were getting water in abundance, so we were so careless, and now we have to act fast to really conserve water for our future generation, and that is a real irony.
True, Kanchan. You cannot be more straightforward about this. There is a Jal Shakti ministry by Government of India to take care of these issues. And I think you pointed out very interesting about the traditional water conserving methods in India. And these need not only to be preserved, these needs to be promoted, propagated. In the modern housing societies in India, there is a need for a water harvesting system to be put into the premise to approve the building for the development. But most of the time, these water harvesting systems are just for the sake of putting it on the paper. There is no real use that is being seen. In Haryana, the Indian state of Haryana, they have metered water connections. By some years, they believe that they can, we can go out and buy water, say 2000 liters per month usage. Nowadays, there is a company, Kanchan, called Live Pure, which is renting out water for as low as 345 rupees for 117 liters of drinking water. So you see where we are heading towards. We need to calculate water for each and every activity that we do. And if we are able to satisfy our needs in the home by even by 1 liter every day, we have done a great contribution, because our Gandhiji said the earth, the air, the land, and the water are not an inheritance from our forefathers, but they are on loan from our children. So we have to hand over to them at least as it was handed over to us.
Right.
Nothing more than sum this up.
Yes, right, definitely. And I think water conservation starts with the efficiency of using water on day-to-day basis, like avoid leakage of water from the tap. So that is one of the crucial aspect to conserve water. A part of this, I think, redistribution of water. You have mentioned little info about how few companies are distributing and water, and of course putting meters and find out how much water is being consumed per household. So that is quite a positive step. But a part of this, I think, protection of water from pollution is also very, very important. Because once water is polluted, that particular portion of water is wasted. And that again, if you want to reuse it, you have to, that water has to undergo in many steps. Ultimately, we lose water. So that is also one crucial aspect of water conservation. A part of this use of modern irrigation method, as you know, that 69% of water is used for agricultural sector. So we have to conserve water there also. Necessary requirement of water irrigation uh, from the surface and from the groundwater. They has to minimize and use modern technologies so that we get good crop with less water.
True, very, very true. A lot of drip irrigation, waterless harvesting, dry car washing, and so many things are coming up. And I would still say, in my city in Bangalore, I'm told that by in the early 1970s there were 3,000 lakes in this city. Now there are less than 300 to be counted. And that is a sad state of affairs. And I'm think that this is more or less for any big city in this country and many parts of the world. And therefore it should not be late. We cannot wait for humanity to be fighting on water, which is so abundantly available. And it is said our oceans are like they are covering the seven portion of this planet.
Yes, so we have to be smart enough, intelligent enough, and I think concerned enough to really conserve water. Because one crucial point which I would like to discuss with you is that increased forest cover is also very much required. Cutting out trees should be prohibited, and of course the flood management. Because if we cut trees, we have this crucial point that flood can come in. So I think these two crucial points, I think people along with government should take care. And of course, water conservation has to be done on day-to-day basis. People need to be educated. What are your opinion and thoughts regarding this?
Yes, so Kanchan, as I lived in Africa, I have seen very closely water crisis. That and going from India, I know the crisis that is looming on us in India, and then I saw it in Africa. So there is a United Nations World Water Development Report by United Nations in 2019. They said that leave no one behind. In 2018 they said nature for water, and 2017 it was the untapped resources. So when we say untapped resources, Kanchan, um, the Amazon basin, which crosses the Brazil, the Argentina, and the South American western side of the South America. Those jungles, Amazon jungles, need to be preserved. But we have seen that over the years, due to industrialization, deforestation has happened, and that Amazon jungles are ripped off. Similar things I have heard in the Nile River basin, which is the longest river basin in the world in Africa, 6,000 miles of both sides of the river Nile. You must see some pictures of white Nile and the blue Nile coming together in the capital of Sudan, Khartoum, and then becoming one, which we call as the Nile River, and the beautiful greenery alongside it. And in India, we have our Ganges plains, almost 3,000 kilometers. And I remember a couple of years back, during our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he wanted to connect our rivers. If you remember, that was such a grand project, and I'm sure there has been some success on that. But at the same time, it is unfortunate to see that Tamil Nadu and Karnataka fight over the Kaveri issue. So it is something which we need to bring about, talk about more and more, and to see it from a holistic point of view. And water conservation has to be taught from the childhood. Probably this could go as a curriculum in the schools, isn't it?
Yes, very valid point. And I think water conservation is a very crucial subject and to be taught in school from very young age so that children should come to know about the value of water. And I think fighting, interstate fighting will not help on water. There are many other issues where the states can come together and discuss and think about urbanization, progress. Like the Prime Minister said, "Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas." So I think conservation of water need to be discussed together and take a call on that. And a part of this, I also feel that general public should also come forward, think, understand the value of water conservation. So I think with this, these thoughts, I'll just close today's discussion now, and with a unique thought, with one crucial important thought for our viewers, that please think about water conservation, do water conservation on daily basis.
Yes, Kanchan, and I think I would like to close this by the remarks by that famous movie song from our Bollywood movie Shore. पानी रे पानी तेरा रंग कैसा, जिसमें मिला दो लगे उस जैसा, by sung by Mangeshkar and Mukesh. What a lovely song.
Yeah,
Thank you.
what a lovely song. And पानी का रंग तो तभी देख पाएंगे जब हम पानी को कंजर्व करेंगे. So
बिल्कुल.
it was lovely talking to you, Sitesh, today. We'll meet again next episode. Till then, bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.